Welcome to Hello Self. It's a podcast focused on turning your can'ts into cans and your dreams into plans. I am your host, coach, and author, Patricia Leonard. Hello there, and welcome to Hello Self Podcast. I am Patricia Leonard, your host, and today I will be your presenter. I have been sharing a series of law of attraction, relationship, anything regarding relationships. Sometimes is attraction love. And those of you who have been following me know that I've been doing some research based upon the initial starting of something in my own personal life. And like I said before, they say we write books and songs and all of these things based upon what's going on in our own life. Today, I'm going to be tackling, after some research, the law of attraction regarding workplace romances. And I've got a lot of notes down here that I have gathered from my research. So I'll be reading some, I'll be speaking about some. So I'll just be sharing basically what I've found out, and then anything that happened to be part of my own personal experience. So I've said workplace romance is series number 9 in my Law of Attraction series. And it's love and professionalism in the workplace. So workplace romance focused around love and professionalism in the workplace. And this is based upon some surveys done by various Forbes, for one, and I'll highlight some of those particular sites that I looked at, and then you can go check your own if you decide to do that. If not, you can just see if the things that I am sharing seem to be true for you, because this is not scientific. I just read some information on the computer, on Google and some other sites, and then I put it together in this podcast. So here we go. And like I said, I'll be reading some of these because I want to really focus on the research that I've done in sharing with you. In today's interconnected world where people spend a significant portion of their waking hours at work, it's no surprise that romantic relationships bloom there. While workplace romances can bring joy, companionship, and collaboration, they can also present unique challenges. And we're going to talk through some of those today as we go through this series. According to a recent Forbes survey on workplace relationships, 43% of respondents married a current or former coworker, which means that people are twice as likely to meet someone that they end up marrying at work versus on a dating app. Who knew that workplaces were going or giving such matchmaking services for individuals working there for their money? Yes, the average full-time timer spends more of their waking hours at work, leaving little time to meet other people or to give any time to a dating site to see what's on there. So in fact, 61% of Forbes respondents cited lack of time outside of work as the real issue around dating someone in the work environment or matchmaking themselves with somebody in the work environment. Another human resource survey found that 81% of workers had dated a coworker at some time in their careers. Now, healthy relationships can transform individual lives and the world at large, including the business landscape, by adopting principles such as empathy, collaboration, authenticity, and inclusivity. We can create a mere compassionate and effective business environment that way. As we prove our relationships, let's not underestimate the potential that they can bring positive change in companies as well as consequences and some positive changes in the world. In this journey toward rational and professional transformation, every step counts. Each of us has the power to contribute to this shift in the environment in the business world. So let's embrace the principles of healthy relationships and watch as they ripple outward. Can they create connection, understanding, and harmonious businesses and world environments? So maybe that's just another way of creating the kind of world that we want, where people don't seem so competitive, but much more compassionate for each other and working together. Many people meet their mate at work, but savvy employees and employers know that love is complicated and that the line between professionalism and personal may sometimes get blurred and impact the organization as well as a team in the organization. Despite the best intentions, conflicts may arise. According to Forbes 2024, even with this awareness is that we know that some of those things can happen in the business environment, the employee states that they are still willing to risk losing their own professional careers for the sake of the emotional fit or the emotional pull. So the emotion ends up being stronger than the drive for the career. After all, we're humans first, right? So love is love. For some people, the benefits of being with someone they're attracted to are worthy of professional hassles or loss. So sometimes they know that there's a risk opportunity, and so does human resources. However, they're willing to risk it. The individual is willing to risk their own career. And it's happened in several cases. The optimal approach to office romance is for the individual involved. Now, this doesn't sound like something we think about. To outline clear expectations and guidelines between the two parties. And I know human resources will try to give guidelines. However, as we've already stated, the human emotion can sometimes overpower anything that is written on a document or a piece of paper about these are the guidelines. Yes, we know and we fear that we'll lose our jobs, but sometimes the emotional pull is stronger than the almighty dollar. I think that companies can do what they can do to create guidelines for people to operate in. However, we know that the human behavior is probably stronger than any threat from a policy guideline. But do these guidelines control the individual? We're already saying no, it doesn't. And I thought this was interesting. In the surveys, here's what came out. Compatibility is the leading driving force of workforce romances. Compatibility. 65% of professional respondents to the survey indicated that compatibility was a driving force behind workplace romances. You know what the second leading driving force is? Lack of time, which we already have said. They have more time at work to build a relationship than they do outside of work. The impact of workplace relationships on careers is the highlight here. A workplace relationship inherently impacts one's career. However, it's not just that that changes the work environments. Our survey revealed workplace relationships also change one's relationship dynamic, perspective of self, and individuality. As a matter of fact, we as individuals get to see ourselves in a different environment than on just the home environment. So just the personal. We're watching our own behaviors or learning about ourselves in another environment, the workplace, not just the home environment. Workplace romances increase the fear of breaking up by 17%. That's another statistics that was noted here. While breakup is a common fear among those who are dating, those dating someone from the work experience, their fear is increased by 17% more than their fear in the life environment. This indicates that an in-office romance can lead to a heightened sense of anxiety surrounding the outcome of the relationship, likely because of the repercussions that could impact their professional life should the relationship end. So again, the guidelines in a corporation give us the potential impact. However, if maybe that seems like a threat to some people and they just say, I'm willing to risk it, or I know how to keep this romance undercover. I think it's interesting. We think that we control our emotions. It doesn't matter where we are, some aspect of our emotions come out. And we think we're not showing anybody else. And the people around us are very aware, most of the time, of what is going on because it's the little things that we don't see that someone else can see. Another statistic, over 50% say that a workplace romance impacted their sense of individuality. And just what we've been talking about. Over 50% reported that having a workplace romance impacted who they saw themselves as being in the relationship, meaning that the relationship dynamic is impacted by the fact that both parties are employed by the same company and thus have more similarities, maybe things to talk about, or more similarities than someone that works or a couple that work in two separate companies. I think that it's that compatibility the statement back there that we were talking about. It just feels like you understand each other better. And therefore, the conversations are easier outside of there. Each of us will have our own reasons for what that dynamic creates. However, we know that in the work environment, at least in the past, it's been that sometimes the guidelines were that individuals couldn't work in the same organization, couldn't even work in the same company. And I think now that sometimes since people work from home, they think that this will work out okay. But we always think that we've got everything under control initially as individuals. And yeah, we understand the guidelines of the company, but we've got it under control. So we don't think that those things are going to show, but behavior and emotions often come across. Dating colleagues affect work-life balance. This is another statistic that was pointed out. In fact, the respondents who reported had a workplace romance, 54% said that their relationship affected their work-life balance. For example, 26% reported that workplace relationships affected their ability to schedule vacations or to be off at the same time, depending on the departments maybe that they were in or the requirements of the organization for information output. It it caused a little struggle in managing their own personal life in that. 52% of people reported that their coworkers treated them different. Another statistic that individuals said, in addition to a workplace relationship impacting work-life balance, it also impacts social dynamics in the workplace. Not only did 50% of respondents say that their relationship impacted how their coworkers treated them, but 33% said it increased jealousy, and nearly 50% said it increased workplace gossip. You've been there. Hey, do you think so and so's dating so and so? I think they've got a crush. I think he's being better to her, or she's doing him favors, or you meet in the cafeteria and sometimes you might gently touch somebody's hand and somebody notices that. It's amazing the signals that we give as individuals through our own behavior, and we don't even recognize that. So if nothing is going on, just our behavior sometimes can create gossip. And if it is going on, then the gossip begins to impact us as individuals in our own thinking and our own responding to each other. 40% have cheated on an existing partner with a colleague. So the gossip can go there. I wonder if her husband knows. I wonder if his wife knows. With the prevalence of workplace romances comes workplace affairs. Of those who have workplace romance, a staggering 40% said they had cheated on their partner with a colleague. And again, it's about that's who we're together with most of the time is the people at work. And so we get to know them in a real different way. We get to know how they support us. And maybe you go home at night and your wife or your husband didn't want to talk about anything. But at work, the colleagues there talk and share. I think that you're beginning to see, and you probably experienced some of these things. I know I have experienced these, and almost every one of them. And yes, I have played this workplace game to act like I'm just pulling up statistics. I can tell you for a fact that I don't know about these statistics because these were from surveys. However, tell me the truth that you have never had an infatuation with somebody and a colleague at work. 43% have married someone they met at work. So it goes back to that dating site. They better be doing something better than just getting us a telephone call or a pretty face or whatever. And I think that's another thing. When we experience people from a bodily or from a facial look or from something that's the external, that often impacts our soul in a different way. So a dating site gives you these beautiful people and it tells you all the great things about them. And then we go out for a dinner date and we think, oh my gosh, how could I have fallen for this? He looked good or she looked good. And relationships, whether they're at work, in the workplace, or where, relationships are more, in the long run, are more than just an external look at somebody. We want to know, who are they? What do they believe? How do they feel about certain things in society? So I think that to look at the dating sites and not to give them no credit at all because people can go out to lunch and that, but it just goes back to our initial statements and survey outcomes about time and compatibility and working on similar kind of projects or similar kind of work, or having more time there than any place else with somebody to really get to know somebody. 43% have met someone that they met at work, as much as many assume that most people meet online these days. And I think that was one of my thoughts too, because I've been single for a long time. But anyway, a lot of my friends say, have you ever gone on a dating site? I only did one night with a friend, and I were playing on one of the dating sites, and I didn't do anything. I never signed up for anything. Oh, yes, I have looked before at those beautiful men. Oh, and thought to myself, I wonder who they are. Maybe I even looked at their profile. And I looked at where they're from, because that's important to me too. And I want to see who they are in different environments. So if they show me a boating picture or travel or an art theater or something, we're all looking for something different. And I think the workplace gives us a chance to look at least at one place, but it's different than just out in a social setting, because we can, are they good thinkers? I want somebody that's smart and somebody that's a good thinker. And so I know, and I want somebody that works with people, that's very diverse. So I'm thinking, I'm looking at those kind of things too, and the people are. So it gives them a different viewpoint, and that most people will express themselves more at work than they might in other settings. And sometimes they won't too, because of the ramifications of different thinking. Our survey found that 43% of those have met someone, that have dated someone that they met and married them, someone they met at work. 43%. That's getting close to the 50% point. Versus someone that they met on a dating site. 47% have changed jobs to date a colleague. Now, I thought this was a very interesting statistic. Nearly half of all people who have had a workplace romance have gone as far as leaving their job to pursue their colleague of interest. It just goes to show you that the heart, the spirit, the soul is attracted in a relationship, is attracted more to someone than just who they are, or their pretty face or that kind of thing. They've left their job. They're willing to give up things to pursue what they're really interested in. Now, here's another thing that I was thinking about, and this is not to advocate for divorce or advocate for anything, but I am convinced in my own learning that every relationship comes together for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And sometimes we try to hold on to those relationships because, in my instance, that my family didn't believe in divorce. So we try to hold on to those relationships way beyond the value that they've added to our life, or the value that's been added to the other person's life. So I think specifically, if you're in a marriage, I can understand why more people cheat at work. And it doesn't mean that maybe they don't love the person that they're with, but there's a different kind of reason for a relationship at this time in their life. And this is not based upon a statistic. This is based upon my own experience and how I look at relationships. But that's not the way I always looked. I thought that if I had a child, I had to stay forever, even if it wasn't for the highest and best good of my child, or it wasn't for my highest and best good, or my spouse's highest and best good. And it doesn't have to be adversarial. I proved that with my own separation and my own divorce. And I think if we can learn to love, to just really love, there's going to be spaces in our life, and it may be at work, it may be in a sport interest we have, it may be in a book club that we're part of. And I'm not advocating for divorces. I'm not. But I am sometimes thinking, is it healthy? Is it healthy for all involved? So I think sometimes people get confused about that. And therefore, they're not happy at home. So they'll find something at work that'll make them happy, at least while they're at work. And then the heartbreak happens when they leave their spouse. If we could just learn to love in this world and not for the sake of something sexual or something monetary or something religious, some of you may be stopping this recording right at this moment, or something that is not accepted in your religion from a standpoint of a spouse or a marriage type. I always say life is a gift. The way we wrap it is our choice. And yes, there are guidelines in life. There are religious beliefs in life. There are social beliefs in life. So where do you walk? So where do you walk? You can see from the surveys here that sometimes for happiness, sometimes what they call happiness. And does everything go? Is relationships just a one-way street? I always go back to my Garth Brooks song. I could have missed the pain, but I would have missed the dance song that he sang, and one of the lines in there. Yeah, you could have missed the pain. You could have missed the way people talked about you, but you would have missed the dance, perhaps. You have to decide that. Okay, back to my statistics on workplace romances. Nearly 1/3 create a breakup plan when dating a colleague. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was a real interest. A breakup contingency plan is not necessarily the norm for the average couple. I'm really interested in you, but and let's say that, and I'm willing to risk my career and my relationship at home. So let's put together a breakup plan of how we would do that to try to not hurt or lose our career. However, I think it's interesting. Nearly 30% of couples in workplace relationships do, this is a survey, create breakup plans, like their own prenuptial agreement in a marriage, but it'll be theirs. This is an agreement between the two colleagues as to how they will handle their jobs and their breakup. How would they handle that? Would they be willing to leave the job? Would they be willing to be fired? Would they be willing? So what is the contingency plan? Would I quit or you quit? So the contingency plan is something that I found very interesting. However, I can understand aspects of it because it's not just looking at the romance relation, the workplace relationship in one way. Oh, wow, this is fabulous. Yeah, let's do it, baby. Let's do it. But there could be repercussions, and how would we handle that if we did? So I think that doesn't, I'm not surprised that such a big percentage of couples put together a contingency plan. Just at the what ifs kind of thing. because we never know. I might even fall out of love with you. Maybe find another colleague. Oh, you know how fickle we all are as human beings. Okay, another statistic 62% report their relationship to HR. Now, that really shocked me. I was surprised. More often than not, the survey said, people notify the human resource department of their workplace relationship. And I thought it was all secretive. I wouldn't have told anybody. I didn't tell anybody. So I think I was really shocked at some of these survey statistics, but I thought I'm going to bring them out because maybe things are shifting, Patricia. Maybe things are shifting. Because I think workplace romances are more acceptable by the company than they've ever been if, in fact, it doesn't cause a step on any toes of lawsuits or anything like that. You're not going to stop people. This is a human behavior. So I don't care how many rule books you write, people are going to be people. So I think that this does make sense to let human resources know and see what their advice is. That ought to make you step up to the real commitment. Am I really committed to losing my job if this doesn't go? And what would that impact? That's your contingency plan. Half of people have engaged in flirtatious behavior with other colleagues. And don't tell me you haven't. Your behavior, flirtatious behavior may be different than somebody else, but you all have. You're a human being first, remember? Oh, yeah, we act like we're perfect, don't we? No, I wouldn't do that. Less than 1 in 5 respondents said dating a colleague is unprofessional. Oh, wait, I want to say this. I forgot this one. Half of all survey respondents say they had engaged in flirtatious behavior with colleagues. Meanwhile, 46% of respondents said they have romantic feelings toward a colleague. 39% admitted to having a secret romance at work, and 17% had a one-night stand with a coworker. 46% said they've had romantic feelings toward a colleague. 39% admitted to having a secret romance. Are you going to tell the truth? And 17% had a one-night stand with a coworker. And I can tell you, I was in human resources in corporate America, and I can tell you, I have witnessed, and I have actually had people come and tell me, what would that impact? I said, if you don't let it impact your daily job. However, your teammates will know. When we get to know each other through our work environment, we know each other probably better than our home environment in a lot of cases. Because we are willing to share the good, the bad, and the ugly at home. At work, we're on our best behavior most of the time. Less than 1 in 5 say dating a colleague is unprofessional. Less than 1 in 5. So most people do not see that as unprofessional. Less than 1 in 5 respondents said dating a colleague is unprofessional. However, this is in stark contrast to the fact that only 5% said they were compatible with colleagues being romantically involved. So I think that's interesting. Sometimes they don't know how to deal with another colleague that they're working with, especially if they have some trouble with somebody that colleague is in a romantic relationship with. So it makes sometimes conversations that need to be said very difficult to say because people will be touchy. He is so argumentative, and you're in a relationship with him, and you find him so sweet. we really have to guard on everything we say. It seems when we're in a situation like that where we know that someone in our team is dating someone else in our team. When it comes to perceived productivity regarding this, 9% of respondents said they believe that workplace relationships decreased productivity. Because maybe sometimes we'll let somebody slide. Oh, yeah, they didn't meet that deadline. She's got some problems at home, or he's got some situations that he's trying to work with that other department. So we'll let things slide. And it decreases the productivity of the team because we make excuses. Meanwhile, 9% of survey takers said they believed that workplace relationships increased productivity. So remember, 9% said that they believed that workplace relationships decrease productivity, and 9% said that they believed it increased. It's a personal kind of thing. And there were not outstanding kind of comments either way. It could be that it increases and it could be that it decreases based upon individuals sharing in the survey. Nonetheless, even though it was a 9 to 9 percentage on both sides, 14% said it makes them uncomfortable, and they feel like it promotes favoritism. Even though they said it could decrease or increase productivity in the team, 14% said that it makes them uncomfortable, and it seems to promote favoritism in the team, in one colleague to another. So, in summary, it's obvious that there is no clear-cut answer about having a romance in the workplace. And I know you guys were probably waiting for me to say, okay, this is the way it should be. It doesn't matter about the way it should be. It's the way we perceive it and the way we behave, based upon our own perceptions of what can possibly happen, and based upon our own perceptions of how we view that work environment. So there really is no concrete answer. We're human beings first, and then we deal with the environment and the repercussions of that behavior. There's no clear-cut answer about having a romance in the workplace. Oh, some may say the rule is this and the rule is that. Does that really matter when it comes to personal behaviors? No, we already found that out, that people said no. It is clear, however, that the law of attraction is a human behavior that is not controlled by a company policy, by possible risk, by fears that exist within a human being. They may have fears, but the pull toward that relationship is stronger. In fears that exist within a person by previous relationship commitments. If they may have a relationship or someone they're married to at home or in a relationship. So it says, the law of attraction is a human behavior that is not controlled by a company policy, by possible risk, by fears that exist within a person, by previous relationship commitments, by specific workplace roles and responsibilities, and on. The law of attraction is not controlled by all of those things. It is a choice. Life is a gift. The way we wrap it is our choice. Often human emotions overrule a person's rational commitments to self and to an environment. I was not able to come up with a one-answer resolution for all. As life happens, we each have choices to make in life, even in the workplace environment. Thank you for being here today. This is a wrap on the law of attraction regarding romance in the workplace. I hope you found something or it made you think, even if the statistics didn't resonate with you, if it made you think, have I been tempted to have a workplace romance? And what would I be willing to trade off if I did? And what would that say to maybe an existing romance I had? There are no answers here today. It's simply a podcast to make you think about who you are, because after all, remember this, the podcast is Hello Self. Thank you for being here today. I am Patricia Leonard, and I am your host for Hello Self Podcast. Thank you for joining Hello Self today, and may it offer insights and inspire you to stay on your runway to success. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember this, keep dreaming.